Hey there. Are you ready for a transformative story that could revolutionize your team? Okay. Picture this. A team torn apart by clashes between two individuals, screaming matches in meetings, work missing deadlines. This really weird, uncomfortable atmosphere that is having an impact on the rest of the team. Things are kind of crunchy and gross and super uncomfortable. Okay, hang out with me. I'm going to tell you about a very particular situation that I was called in to help with. I'm going to show you the secrets that I employed to figure out what was going on and how these two individuals who weren't getting along have had a dramatic turnaround. Here's the good news. You're going to be able to use this for yourself and your teams. All right. So in the world of team dynamics, the number one key to success is self-awareness. If you can discover your own personality, your preferences, I call it your comfy cozy zone, the more you're acquainted with and familiar with who you are and how you work, the easier it is going to be for you to spot when someone's different than you or when someone's the same as you. It's a little bit of a key to success because now you can get curious about what makes them tick. How do they tackle a problem? How do they think? Are they detailed? Are they, very creative in their problem solving? Want to, think outside the box? So in this story, I'm going to walk you through a real life case study where conflicting personalities were not only reconciled, but they were able to leverage some unparalleled success. Here's what was happening. Let's talk with individual number one. Let's call him Bob. Okay, so Bob, he would engage with this other team member. Let's call him Jim. I'm making names up. So Bob and Jim. Well, Bob was working on a project, starting a project, super detailed. I want to make sure I think of everything from the sky is going to fall to there could be a tsunami. The other individual, Jim, right? Well, he thought this was crazy. Why are you thinking about all these things? Now, I'm exaggerating to make a point. When we looked at their individual personality assessment results using the Principles U platform from, principlesu.com. It's free. Go do it. So we looked at Bob's. Well, here's what we spotted. In how he likes to apply himself, he had a lower autonomy score. Now if you're low on autonomy, not only do you want to know the end goal, what are you trying to achieve, but you want a very detailed list of what success looks like and how you're going to get there, right? You want that laid out super clear. Opposite, if you're super high on autonomy, tell me what the end goal is, what we're trying to achieve, get out of my way, I'll figure it out myself. Thank you very much, right? Autonomy, autonomous in the work that they like to do. So Bob, super low on autonomy. That means he wants a very detailed list that's going to make sure that he has almost like a super detailed roadmap on how to achieve his goals, how to make a project successful. The other thing we spotted with Bob's assessment is in how he likes to think, he was a little bit higher on the detailed side. So not only does he want on the autonomy side a detailed list of how to be successful, he thinks detailed. It's going to be extra detailed. So I would tease him that, you really do think of everything. And he does. That is his natural. That is his comfy cozy. Perfect. So now let's talk about Jim, right? Guess what we spotted on his personality assessment results? He was the exact opposite. So here's Jim, super high on autonomy. Tell me where the end goal is. Get out of my way. I'll figure out the how. Okay, no problem. And then how he likes to think, he was a little lower on the detailed side. He's I'll figure it out as I go along, not worried about having everything detailed listed out. So now when these two individuals were working on a project together, when Bob wanted to spend lots of time making sure they thought of absolutely everything before they get started, and Jim was like, no, that's crazy. We'll figure it out as we go. What they were respectively saying inside their heads was, this guy's insane. He's going to kill our project. But neither is true. Being extra detailed and trying to think of everything to make sure is not horrible. Making it up and figuring it out as you go along is not wrong either. So instead of these two butting heads over, what they perceive to be balls of crazy, when we brought them together and we completed the personality assessment and then completed a Principals Us workshop, they realized like, oh, we just think differently. So the good news is when I did individual coaching with both of them, separately, of course, we talked about strategies on how they can show up for the other person. So for example, Bob, our Mr. Detail guy, I give him a tool. Let's talk about the Eisenhower matrix. Kind of apply it to your risk. So think of absolutely everything, which is exactly what he wants. But you don't have to analyze and come up with an action plan in case it happens. So he now uses if it's a high impact and a high probability event, okay, then that's something you'll make a plan for. All the other stuff, it's okay, you can leave it there. He is happy all the other stuff has been captured, but he's not going to kill everybody on the project team, spending a lot of time, i.e. resources, analyzing those to death and making a mitigation plan. That was a just in case. So he's happy, he gets it. Jim, on the other hand, when we looked a little bit more detailed into his assessment results, I spotted that he was high on leadership and a little high on the nurturing side too, in how he engages with others. So we talked about how he, as a leader and his leadership aspirations, how can he lean into that high leadership and the higher nurturing to meet Bob for what Bob needs? And to realize that, oh, if I'm going to be a good leader, I have to recognize the differences in others and flex a little bit on my side to meet them where they are. And also stopping and thinking about the maybes and the what ifs could happen isn't all terrible. A little bit of that can go a long way. It's a good mitigation plan. So by the time we were done with the assessment, and then I followed up a couple weeks later, and it was amazing news. There's no more screaming. There's no more uncomfortableness. They've learned to, I don't want to say compromise, because it's not about compromise. It's more about recognizing themselves and then where they're different and then how they can meet in the middle. It might sound like a compromise. I don't consider it a compromise though. I consider it a self-awareness that creates an awareness of others so you can meet the other where they need you to be. So if you find this helpful, my recommendation for you is to, whenever you're feeling that tension with someone you work with or someone socially, I would always stop and ask myself, well, wait a minute, what is it? Because we're different in some way? Maybe we're too similar in some ways, and I'm not liking what I'm seeing because it reminds me of me, right? But if there's that tension going on, I think the first place you got to stop and look is yourself. Well, are they just doing it different than I am? Maybe. Are they tackling an issue in a way that I don't typically tackle an issue? And perhaps that's what's making you feel tense about it. Maybe. So if you're going to be an amazing team leader, or if you're going to be an amazing team member, and if you're going to be a leader, aspire to be a leader, if you are a leader, I highly recommend completing a personality assessment. Of course, I'm going to advocate Principles U. Remember, principlesu.com. It's free. Go for it. Share your results with others. Talk about how you show up. Talk about the parts that ring true for you. And of course, me as a certified Principles U coach, I can walk you through it a little bit too and help you dive into how some things interrelate with each other. I.e., for example, that fellow, Bob, who was low on autonomy and high on detail, I remember asking him, I said, quick question. I see these two scores. Are you by chance risk adverse? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, that makes sense to me. You want to make sure you have thought of everything before you move forward. So again, there's no judgment there. There's no label to that. It's just the way he is. So I know that now. And guess what? So do the rest of his teammates. So making it a lot easier for them all to work together. I hope this story helps you. I hope it helps you elevate your team, and it helps bring you and encourages you for some self-awareness. Now, in case no one's told you recently, you are worthy of your dreams. Till next time.